The Monster Hunter Stories series is, I feel, deeply underrated. Now, I do think that is obviously an offshoot of Monster Hunter, and it's going to appeal to a very particular audience. There's a lot about this series that is very fun, and really it hasn't been since Monster Hunter Stories 3 that is now out that really I feel the series has come into its own. Monster Hunter Stories 1 and 2 are nice, but I don't necessarily think that they deliver on a really mature and satisfying story. Whereas Monster Hunter Stories 3, in my experience with it, thanks to Capcom for sending me a review code, really solidifies the idea that Monster Hunter Stories as a series is and should be played in tandem with Monster Hunter, the mainline series. For veterans and for casuals alike, I think that if you even are remotely interested in Monster Hunter, playing Monster Hunter Stories 3 is almost an essential in order to fully immerse yourself in the worlds and in the monsters that are in Monster Hunter. So today what I wanted to do was actually rank the 3 Monster Hunter Stories main themes we have based on their own individual strengths and weaknesses. Let's get into it. Of course, we're going to start right from the beginning with Monster Hunter Stories main theme. Oh, that sounds like waking up. That's so beautiful. Oh my god, I've never heard this, have I? Now, hold on. It's funny. I thought I had heard this theme because I've played a little bit of Monster Hunter Stories. It was a little bit too kiddish for me, but this was the first of this iteration of the series that was kind of like, hey, what would it be like if we expanded on the Monster Hunter universe? Now, Monster Hunter games have a story, in my experience, for better or for worse, usually like, hey, let's go hunt down a monster. I mean, like with nuance, right? Whereas in this particular track and in Monster Hunter Stories and games in general, it's much more about like, you know, a young person finding themselves, and that was kind of the scope of Monster Hunter Stories 1 and 2, the limited amounts that I played of it. But I love how this starts with that real simple waking up motif, right? This is really about the beginning of a new experience, and you get that da-da-da-dee, ba-da-da-da-da, the proof of the hero motif. Most likely the people that are watching this video are Monster Hunter fans like myself, so that's fair. But I love how everything kind of coalesces into that really slowed down, beautiful proof of a hero motif. I like how I'm doubting myself, but I'm pretty sure that's proof of a hero. I kind of want to start it over just because it's so nice. Listen to this. Right? Just this solo string down bow. The twinkling. We get stacking of instruments. Timpani kicks us in. Da-da-da-da-da-dee. Right? Da. We kind of swell into this. It's very light. Da-da-dee-da. Da-da-dee-da. Right? It's like, the sun. And then listen to how gorgeous that is, though. I got goosebumps. Oh. Like, it's so lovely, isn't it? Oh my god. That's so beautiful. And then actually doesn't resolve, it sustains as we kick into another section, another idea. Right. Percussion kicks in. A little bit of tension, a little bit of excitement. Oh my god, I have so many goosebumps. Uh-oh. This is bad. It's a chase. So much tension, chasing. Love that cascading down violin. The nice brass there picking up. And then trumpet. Nice, nice. Wait, it actually feels, you know what? That's interesting. This is a transition piece from Monster Hunter, core Monster Hunter, into, hey, no, this is actually Monster Hunter Stories. This is so excellent. Listen how it goes through. We have Proof of a Hero. We move into that sort of like, this is Monster Hunter, but it's not. And then we move into the intensity. And then we get to this little corner, which is so lovely as it pivots into that. We clear the clearing into that gorgeous, and we get iterations of that obviously in stories 2 and 3 of that main theme of Monster Hunter, which is so bright and so beautiful. Let's listen. All right, push. Right, a little caesura, a little break. Some really elegant push and pull there. There's a little bit of rubato where we kind of steal a little bit of time. Kind of slows down a little bit, picks back up. That's such a nice, I love the caesura, the little railroad track break. Big break, caesura. You see how it does that? Oh, they're flying through the sky. You're on your Rathalos. Oh, right? You hear how much it shifts there? No more timpani, no more heavy snare. Right now we got that. Oh my god, the strings. Right? Oh my god, I've never heard this. Nice, that solo trumpet just. I love that we're on a treadmill there and we kind of just move. So it goes through a bunch of different phases, doesn't it? It's really nice. I think it's pretty simple. You know, like, yeah, the instrumentation's like pretty dense. The way that we choose to have this main theme, so we have a pretty rhythmic, we have a fast, then we pull back, then we have a slow, so much fun. And then as you fly through the air on your Rathalos or on your Legiana or whatever, that's where we have that kind of, the beautiful strings just kind of floating in the air. It's so like, you know, it's just bright, you know, it's a jungle, beautiful, the sun's out. And then as we pick up, we move away from the percussion and the snare, mostly the military kind of sound of like being steadfast and committed, and then we land in this thing which is just so bright and so excellent and it just oh my god, it's excellent. So if I'm going to rank that, or ranking the three themes, if I'm going to rank Monster Hunter Stories main theme, the OG, the guy that started it all, I'm going to put that at an A. It is a beautiful piece of music. It's just great. It's very in line with Monster Hunter. It's satisfying. I think it could be more fleshed out, but it's very, very good. Let's move over to Monster Hunter Stories 2. I have heard this recently, which is actually what gave me this idea. This was actually around the time that Capcom gave me my review code for Monster Hunter Stories 3, which if you haven't played it yet, and you're even on the fence about it, I really can't recommend it enough. It is the evolution of Monster Hunter Stories. Like I mentioned in my intro, this is the definitive Monster Hunter Stories experience, I think. Yes, there's the power, technique, agility, sort of rock, paper, scissors format that's still there. There's a flexibility in combat. It really is constantly engaging. The borrowing of the traits that we see in Monster Hunter with the different weapon types, the different, doing stun damage and overtaking your enemy and all the ways that we you know, all the things that have been in the previous Monster Hunter Stories games are there. They're a little bit more fleshed out. It really feels like they put their whole body into creating a Stories experience that is in line with the mainline experience. I have to catch my breath. I'm so excited. If you're a fan of Monster Hunter, this is primo stuff. The ecology aspects of the game, you know, grabbing the eggs from the different dens, hatching those, repopulating and rehabitating, that's not a word, the world around you is excellent. The open space is so lush and so full. It really has so much detail, and the story is really good in the 20-ish hours I've played. It's just delightful. It's a very mature tale. There was something that happened actually at the end of Act 1, or the first chapter, that kind of left me like kind of speechless. I was like, what? I can't believe they pulled that punch. The monsters are great. This roster is particularly good, even where I am in the second area. The sort of like Connect 4, syncing up the different sort of perks that the monsters have, you know, getting an S perk, you know, lining up the different rows to boost certain stats. So much fun. Being able to trade those from other monsters helps you motivate to go out and collect as many as possible. Again, and then repopulating the environment so that the habitat is an S tier, A tier, B tier, or whatever you want it to be. As all just so much fun. Really no complaints. It's such a cozy game. The art style is it reminds me a lot of like a Studio Ghibli movie, honestly. It's just so crisp, and it just feels just so good to play. I'm not sponsored to make this. Obviously, they gave me a review code, so I wanted to talk about it. But it's been a delight to play. There's some really cool monster remixes that I'm not going to get into. I'll probably talk about those maybe individually later on in another video. It just feels like, oh, that's such and such, and that's so and so, and it's so much fun to like see monsters that you're used to hunting in Monster Hunter, but in this format, in this turn-based format, and out in the open world is really cool. And if you've never played a Monster Hunter, I mean, I feel like this is such a good primer for like the basis of like ecology, which is a huge corner point, like a huge corner of Monster Hunter. It's just not really talked about necessarily. If you like dinosaurs, if you like flying on monsters or riding them or using them, you know, if you like using mounts, that's what the game is, you know, like certain monsters do certain things. Some fly, some climb, some fly and climb, some swim really efficiently, and being able to swap them on the fly is an amazing feeling. Yeah, that's sort of an overarching impressions, but really just such a good game. For me, Monster Hunter Stories 3 is easily a Game of the Year contender, alongside Capcom keeps crushing it with Resident Evil 9, and I'll be curious to see how Pragmata goes down the road. Yeah, anyway, neither here nor there, but Monster Hunter Stories, I'm going to give that an A. Let's go over to Monster Hunter Stories 2. But here we still get that flying. Much more militaristic, much more pronounced in its snare movement. Flying like we heard earlier. How do we change the theme from Stories 1 to Stories 2? You know, you feel the clouds, the beautiful twinkling, and the movement of the flutes. Some nice rhythm there in the violins. A little bit of curiosity with this shortness. Ah, life is freaking gorgeous, isn't it? Right? Hey, wait. What's that? Building. Ah! It even fleshes it out a little bit there with the trumpets and the brass. A little bit more emphasis in the lower notes there. Love that little lift. See, I don't know if you've ever heard of Merry-Go-Round of Life from the Studio Ghibli movie Howl's Moving Castle. That particular theme is very akin to this. This is very much a waltz. You know, the percussion throughout it is very measured, less freeform than Stories 1. Ba-da-dee, ba-bee, ba-bee-da-da, ba-bee, 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 ba-bee. Right, it's very measured. There's some real nice flair in the trombones especially, but it's much more of a waltz, much more of a dance, which is different. It's very lock in step, which I think it's not to its detriment. But boy, that main theme, when it's like that though, you really know what to expect when you hear it, and it just feels so good to listen to. See, measure, measure, measure. I love those little flutes and, you know, it's just nice. Isn't that charming? It's like telling a story, a joke. Now we have our B section. We get a little bit of like, sounds like a hammered dulcimer, I think. So we move into a place, like a tribal, sort of exotic sound there, right? But it's still bouncing. It's like this is a land, you know. This is a place. People live here. Love the piano cassetti down. Nice repeat there. Do that 3 times. Now we have brass emphasis. And then it builds again. Right? Right there, yeah. See that little shift there? That's nice. This is mystery. Look at the wild world ready for you. Outreaching your hands. You know, with a nice button there at the end. It's nice. I will say, having listened to now the first one and this one, I'm going to give this one a B. It's excellent, right? And this is a totally arbitrary, I'm thinking about this like totally arbitrarily. Like, obviously they're excellent. That measured quality is good, but I do think that it actually kind of pulls away from some of the freeness of like that flight in the air, you know. There's still that youthful energy in it, but it's and I love the middle section there when we use that the dulcimer and the other music there, but it doesn't quite hit the way that I want it to, and having listened to it next to Stories 1, it feels a little bit too rigid. Now, a beautiful waltz, but just a little rigid. So as I've already said, Monster Hunter Stories 3, excellent. Really, just excellent. Not all of the music is great. The battle theme, the basic battle theme is fine. And I do think that the main theme is a highlight. But now that I'm hearing them back to back, I'm actually not sure where I'm going to rank this. So let's check it out. It was actually a little bit more pulled back than the other two to start, and it's interesting because this one feels more like a reflection. Well, the title is Twisted Reflection, so that's funny. But it feels a little bit more like a reminiscing, more of a reflective piece. Right? And actually, if you think about it, that still has power in it because of the French horns, a little bit more body in the sound. But it's interesting how it's a bit, even though it has a momentum, it's still kind of slower. But it feels like it like faces something and it says, you know what, never mind. Then the... You hear that pulsation, that feeling? Watch. It's gonna slow down. Jesus Christ. A little bit of dance there. Ba, ba, ba. I love the choice of oboe to start that. A little bit of the quiet soprano vocals in the background too are really effective. A little bit of a duet here, call and response with the cello and the violin. Nice plucking there with the guitar as well. It's a bit more somber than the other ones, a little bit more reflective. And then, this is the real drama and tension in this. What do you mean something horrible has happened? What do you mean this tragedy has befallen our kingdom? And there's a bit of energy movement back there. Dum dum da 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 dee. This is serious. Wait, what do you mean we have to go to war? We have to be resolute in our commitment to ourselves. Stakes are super high. Nice chorus on those big strong beats. We will not be stopped. We will not surrender to anything. Nice swell. Response to that chorus. A little bit of a memory there with the string. And all of them have a button. All of them have a button, which is very nice. You know, having listened now to all three of these back to back, I like Stories 3's, the way that the Stories 3, the stories, motif kicks in. It's so beautiful. And the seriousness is really welcome. I wish I could borrow like aspects of all three and then combine them and have it be my perfect version of this. But I actually think that Monster Hunter Stories OG, we'll bump that up to an S and we'll put this at A. Because I thought that this was going to be S. Recency bias aside, it's a little bit stodgy. It's not as like casually fun to listen to. Like there's a little bit too much of the story context and the seriousness of the kingdoms and you know the war and all this other stuff. So I think Stories 1 is a bit more bright, a bit more passionate, a bit more gentle, and the instrumentation across all three is excellent. But if I were to give it to one of these, I would definitely think Monster Hunter Stories OG, even though I'm not crazy about the rhythmic shift there, the little push and pull, the rubato I talked about. I still think that one probably has the most, the most heart, the most pure. I'm curious to know what you think. And are you going to play Monster Hunter Stories 3? I seriously, if you're even remotely a Monster Hunter fan, you may not like turn-based, but I'm telling you, like, you're going to love this game. And I just can't recommend it enough. And thanks to Capcom for giving me the code, but like, I was going to buy it anyway. So I seriously recommend it. If you haven't played it, it'd be worth it either now or wait for a sale. But if you're a Monster Hunter fan at all, you kind of owe it to yourself. I really think it's super, super good. Yeah, thanks a ton. I'll see you later.